Hello, I'm Bill Tara.
And I'm Marlene Watson-Tara. In the mad rush to feed the human craving for animal protein, fish have become a common substitute for animals that are raised on the land. So today, Bill and we want to take a closer look at the trend and the mentality behind our understanding of the ocean.
Our living planet is dominated by water. 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by ocean, but only 10% of that has been mapped or even seen by human eyes. The oceans and the life they contain are a great mystery to us. Our lack of understanding has not stopped us, however, from dramatically changing the very composition of the seas. Today we're going to focus on fish.
Of the 200,000 animals that live in the sea, the largest population are the fish, and they range in size from the giant whale sharks that can weigh up to 21 tons and be a mass of 40 feet in length. And that takes you right down to the smallest midget dwarfed goby that's less than a third of an inch long.
The ocean is perhaps the most complex ecosystem on Earth, and it's being drained of life by human activity. The damage being done will have catastrophic effects on all life on the planet. The fate of fish is the foundation of the health of the oceans and of all terrestrial life.
Fish is the unhealthy alternative. Self-described pescatarian diets have become the rage, and they claim that it's the healthiest diet, but nothing could be further from the truth. The need for animal source protein has been disproven by thousands of scientific studies. This is in addition to the fact that fish are one of the most polluted foods available. The levels of chemical pollution in the ocean are critical. The polluter is comprised of industrial toxins, agricultural runoff, air pollution and consumer plastics. This is the sea that all aquatic life must live in and feed on. And we're using the ocean as a sewer and garbage dump and then eating the creatures who live in it. Fish such as salmon, mackerel, marlin, shark, all contain high levels of mercury and PCBs. These are dangerous industrial pollutants that concentrate in tissue of predator fish. There's a professional agreement that women who are pregnant or nursing or who are planning to become pregnant within a year should avoid eating these fish. So should children younger than 6. If fish are that toxic, why would we want to eat them in any condition? Regarding the proposed health benefits of fish on cholesterol, those attempting to lower their cholesterol might like to know that 3 ounces of shrimp contains over twice the amount of cholesterol as the same serving as a T-bone steak. Between 15 and 30% of the fat in fish is saturated depending on species, and over 50% of the calories in salmon comes from fat. The omega-3 fats that are so prized in some diets fail to mention that the vegetable sources are far richer in alpha-linolenic acid, and that's the only essential omega-3 that our bodies need. These healthy fats can be found in chia seeds, walnuts, soybeans, greens such as kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, as well as our beloved sea vegetables.
Many good people who are concerned about the health of the environment choose to eat fish. They base that choice on the belief that fishing causes less harm than other animal-sourced foods. They're mistaken. In our hunger for fish, we're destroying the oceans of the world, and without healthy oceans, we die. Take 3 deep breaths. Consider this. 2 of those breaths came from the ocean, and 1 from the forest and land plants. We always talk about the forests as the producers of the air that we breathe, but it's the oceans that are the greatest source of oxygen, as well as taking up the most CO2. Super trawling factory ships scoop up every living organism from the ocean floor in extremely deep water. They have become widespread across the world. These ships can pull up to 400 tons of fish every time they release their nets. 40% of the catch is thrown back into the sea dead. 95% of the global ocean damage results from bottom trawling. This causes irreversible harm to deep sea fish stocks. Many experts predict the oceans will be fishless by 2048. Every year, 19 million tons of wild fish are caught. Almost 1/5 of the world's annual wild catch are dried, pressed, and ground into oil and meal. The majority of this is then fed to fish and crustaceans raised on fish farms.
The fishing industry also contributes over 10% of the plastic pollution in the ocean. Lost and abandoned fishing gear makes up the majority of large plastic trash. Nets, lines and traps that are used in commercial fishing are dumped and discarded in the sea every year. This plastic forms what is called ghost gear or ghost nets and is a major danger to healthy waters as well as a direct cause of death to many aquatic creatures. Fish, sea turtles, dolphins, sea lions and even whales can become entangled in this equipment and die a slow death. This, together with the tons of plastic that are dumped into the sea, speed the death of our oceans.
This intensive and brutal culling of fish is a trophic cascade, a phenomenon well known in ecology where the disappearance of a certain species creates a total systemic breakdown. Fishing disrupts food webs by targeting specific predator species such as salmon, cod, swordfish, and tuna, which are in high demand. These predators sit at the top of the food chain, which means that when their population is dramatically reduced, it triggers a trophic cascade. Fish below the predators in the food chain overbreed and cull the fish below them. These are the fish that would normally consume zooplankton and small fish that eventually consume the phytoplankton. All life in the sea is dependent on these small phytoplankton. It is these tiny organisms in the seaweeds that take up the CO2 and release the oxygen. They serve as the foundation of the ocean's food chain. The oxygen production in the ocean through marine plants has dropped significantly and is a threat to all life both on land and in sea. Phytoplankton has been reduced 40% since 1950. They're killed off by toxic waste and the indirect damage of the fishing industry.
As with many of our environmental issues, we tend to view the oceans of the world and the life within them through the lens of our economy. We've placed a price on the life within the sea and the minerals beneath it, but have never considered the cost. The cost is the well-being of future generations. We've also ignored the damage that we do to a whole world that we do not even understand and the sentient lives that we destroy. Fish and sea mammals are social creatures. They recognise each other and they communicate through sound. The creatures of the sea constantly hold communications with their own kind, and we're aware of the songs of the whales, but the oceans are a symphony of sound. Fish are capable of remembering past social interactions that they've had with other fish, and they show affection by rubbing against each other. They display curiosity and are interested in new objects that are introduced into their environment. Fish have a very complex nervous system and they react to painful stimuli the way all animals do. Their breathing rate increases, their muscles contract, and they try to escape danger and they fight to the death. Those who fish for sport look forward to the fish fighting for its life. It's the thrill of the catch, the battle between life and death. Once caught, fish die of asphyxiation, and that is the equivalent of a human drowning.
Because of the dwindling stocks of ocean fish, fish farming has grown rapidly all over the world. Driven by the myth of animal protein requirements, it's a major growth industry. Soon it will outproduce poultry production because it's cheaper.
Fish are the most efficient animal to produce for the kill. Fish like salmon can produce 1 kilo for every 1.5 kilos of food, compared with beef that requires 8 kilos. The factory farms of the future are here, and they are fish farms. On these farms, fish spend their whole lives, up to 2 years, confined in tightly packed spaces. The water can become toxic and filled with antibiotics, pesticides, parasites and feces. A recent study showed that up to 16 toxic chemicals were approved for use for raising fish in Scotland. A 2-acre fish farm can produce as much waste as a town of 10,000 people.
The worst kind of modern slavery operates in the Indonesian fishing industry. Cambodian and Burmese men are captured to work on fishing fleets that scour the Indonesian waters. The Thai government has failed to control these fleets, where men are often chained to the boats and can be sold from ship to ship. The Nestle Corporation admitted that it was difficult to control fish sources due to multiple ports and the fishing vessels operating in international waters. Much of the fish product produced through this human misery is used in cat food. An investigation by the Guardian newspaper called attention to shrimp boats running out of Thailand. 1/3 of all shrimp imported into America comes from Thailand. A 6-month investigation found that suppliers to 4 of the world's largest global retailers, Walmart, Costco, Carrefour, and Tesco, were selling shrimp caught on slave boats. These boats scoop up huge catches of small and infant fish and inedible species to grind into meal and feed to farmed shrimp.
Our treatment of the oceans and our attack on the non-human lives that we share the planet with always ends badly. If we are really interested in creating a peaceful and healthy planet, we need to think more clearly about our actions.
Food, along with air and water, are our biological links to the planet. Our choices are threatening all life, and we must change our habits before it's too late. And time is running out.
Please stop eating all non-human animals living on the land and in the sea. It's the right thing to do. And you can do it right now. There's no need to cut back or slowly withdraw. You just simply stop. You will be rewarded with better health as well as the knowledge that you're daily working towards a healthy world.
It's been suggested that by reforming the fishing industry and practicing conservation or changing the methods we use to kill fish, we can develop a more humane industry. This is a fantasy. The only way to solve the crisis of the oceans of the world is to stop eating fish and all animal-sourced food. What's good for the ocean is good for us as well. The Human Ecology Project is dedicated to illustrating the connections between human actions and their effects on individual and social health, environmental impact, social justice, and animal rights. The unifying factor? The food we eat.